I'm Tanya Steele, editor-in-chief of Epicurious.com, and you're watching Around the World in 80 Dishes. Today we're going to Brazil and we're making feijoada. It's the national dish. It's a meat stew with a lot of black beans, and to guide me through the whole process is my buddy here, Chef Lynne Gigliotti from the CIA.
Yes.
Chef, I was lucky enough to go to Brazil and to sit on the Copacabana beach, have a bowl of feijoada in my hands and a caipirinha in the other hand. That was when I thought, you know what, this is living.
Yeah.
This is what it's all about. But I've never made it at home because it is actually quite a multi-step process.
It is a multi-step process, and when you look at a recipe, it can be a little intimidating, but we're going to simplify it for everybody so that they feel that they can make it. And this dish, honestly, is one that is best made a day ahead of time.
Yeah, to let the flavors all come together.
And so you're not rushing around. This is not something you want to make at the last minute. Oh, my guests are coming in 2 hours. Oops,
right.
I forgot to put the meat on. So definitely make this the day before. It's going to taste better. It's going to be easier on you, and you might have to just set the table.
Right.
Yeah, so
and put on some
simple.
lipstick and
yeah,
there you go.
Exactly.
Okay. So the great thing about this dish is that it's kind of a peasant dish and you can use any kind of meat, right?
Yes.
So show me what we've got here.
We've got a top round of beef. We've got a piece of corned beef that has been soaked in water overnight to sort of get that brine and the saltiness out of it. We've got a piece of slab bacon here, which has got lots of flavor.
Yeah.
And don't be afraid of that fat, because that fat adds a lot of flavor to the dish. It's important. Got a smoked ham hock. And we have, sometimes I use spare ribs, but today I've got a piece of smoked pork loin, because that way you're not going to have to deal with the bones. So we're going to have a totally boneless feijoada, which is going to be a little bit easier for people to eat.
Yep, totally. And then there's chorizo.
This is the chorizo sausage, which is going to go in the black beans. So you can see we've got 6 different kinds of meat here.
Right.
And you could put less meat in it, you could put more meat in it, but this is a meat lover's dish.
That's right.
This is not for vegetarians.
No.
So, what we're going to do with these meats is we're going to take a big pot or a Dutch oven, and we're going to put them in the pot. We're going to cover it with some chicken broth, and we're going to simmer it until the meat is nice and tender. And it takes different amounts of time for the meat to cook. The ham hocks. The top round of beef is going to take a long time. It could, depending on the size of the meat, it could take anywhere from 2 to 3 hours. It depends on the size of the meat. If you're making this for more people, it's going to take longer. The ham hocks usually take about an hour and a half. The smoked pork loin is, it's already smoked and cooked. It's not going to take that long. The bacon is already cooked, so really you're just trying to extract some flavor. So.
And I know that the recipe calls also for pig's feet. That's one of the meats.
Yeah,
that you can
it
add
does.
as well.
You can add pig's feet. You can add. It's one of those parts is parts dishes where you can add any part that you want to eat.
Is this a good recipe to go to the butcher with and just say, I'll take, your ends and your trimmings, and you can kind of throw all that stuff
Absolutely, but you do want some big, solid pieces of meat in here, because the more meat you have, the more flavor you're going to have.
I see. Okay.
Now we're just going to cover the meat with some broth.
And this is chicken broth?
This is chicken broth. And actually, if you don't have chicken broth, you could actually use water, because that meat has so much flavor in it that it's going to create its own broth after a couple of hours. So if you wanted to, water would be good.
Do you cook it on low heat or medium?
Well, what I like to do is I like to bring it up to a simmer, skim it. If you have any kind of little foamy stuff on top, skim it off, put the lid back on, turn it down to a simmer. So you don't want too much evaporation, because you're going to need that liquid to cook the beans later. So nice low simmer, low and slow.
Okay.
And you'll take the meats out one at a time. The bacon's cooked, you take it out. Stick a meat fork in it. If it's nice and tender, take it out.
And so as they cook and as you take them out, you're going to slice them up.
Yeah, we're going to take the ham hocks and we're going to dice that up. We're also going to take the bacon and we're going to dice it up. The top round of beef we're going to leave whole. The smoked pork loin we're going to leave whole. And the corned beef we're going to leave whole, because we're going to slice those for the presentation on the final platter.
I see. Okay, so great. We'll do that in the next video.
Yeah, it sounds easy, right?
Yeah, I think so far it is.
Yeah.
You delicious.